Welcome to ancient Memphis and Saqqara. In this video, we will explore the city as it would have appeared during the Ptolemaic period. The ancient city of Memphis served as Egypt's capital beginning from the early dynastic period until around 300 BCE, when the Ptolemaic dynasty moved the capital to Alexandria. The modern name Memphis was originally derived from the Greek translation from Men-Nefer, the name of Pharaoh Pepi II's pyramid complex. The original name for the area was Ineb-Hedge, meaning white walls, which harkens back to the white plastered walls that once surrounded the city. The city of Memphis sits on the Nile, just south of modern-day Cairo. Memphis was home to the famous Temple of Ptah, one of the most important temple complexes in Egypt. At its height in the Ramesside period, multiple temples and palaces commanded the site. The temple, continued into the Ptolemaic period, connects to the Apis bull cult that was extremely popular at the time. Much of Memphis is not preserved to us, making reconstructions difficult. What we see here is a good estimation of what would have been preserved at the site based on comparanda and the archaeological evidence that has been uncovered. This temple was dedicated to the god Ptah, one of the creator deities. Ptah speaks mankind into existence, unlike the other creator gods. Ptah is also connected to craftsmanship and the arts. Here, we enter into a large courtyard with decorated reliefs and statues that would have depicted the god and the pharaoh who built this area of the temple. In the game, the wall reliefs resemble the ones that can still be seen in the Ptolemaic temple of Hathor at Dendera. Here in the sacred barn, we can see the manifestation of Apis, who would have lived in the Temple of Ptah and been treated to all of life's luxuries. Each bull was chosen according to 29 signs of divinity, and after the death of that version, a new one would have been sought from the divine herd. In this courtyard, we see 4 statues of the Apis bull and 2 of Ptah flanking the next doorway. The statues of Ptah show his main characteristics: mummiform with skull cap, holding a Jed scepter with Wa signs symbolizing stability and power. He also holds Ankh signs indicating his life-giving creator abilities. In the Inner Sanctum, we can see a monumental representation of the Apis bull. Typically, in Egyptian temples, a representation of the god in the form of a portable statue would have been housed in the inner sanctuary, only taken out on festival occasions via its boat shrine. This statue of the god would have only been visible to the higher-ranking priests who would have cared for the statue, including making offerings, cleaning, and clothing it. The Apis bull was another deity worshipped in Memphis connected to Ptah and kingship. A bull was chosen based on certain characteristics as the living manifestation of the god, and treated as such. Upon the death of this bull, he was given a lavish burial at the Serapeum in Saqqara. Interestingly, as we see here, individuals are shown actively worshipping the statue. Traditionally, worshippers were not allowed into the temple, especially the inner sanctuary. Unlike religions with a more interactive component, an Egyptian temple was literally the house of the god, and thus was not open to the public. Given the ideological importance of Memphis as both the political and religious capital, early kings chose to build their mortuary structures across the river at Saqqara. The most notable tomb was built by King Djoser of the 3rd dynasty, which is what we see here. Djoser's step pyramid is the first monumental building ever constructed in Egypt, measuring approximately 60 meters high, constructed around 2700 BCE. The step pyramid complex consists of an enclosure wall with palace facade design and dummy buildings representing portable shrines that would have been used in the eternal coronation ritual for the king, the Heb Sed festival. The step pyramid was the culmination of an architectural evolution, starting with mastabas, which were bench-like superstructures that were placed over tomb shafts in the pre- and early dynastic periods, and continued on for elites in the Old Kingdom. Here in the entrance corridor, we have some of the earliest engaged columns representing reed bundles. The corridor was intentionally designed to be a dark space intended to stimulate the marshy, primordial beginning, according to Egyptian mythology. The juxtaposition between this enclosed dark space with the next bright open courtyard would have played on the participants' senses. Djoser is typically understood to be the founder of the Third Dynasty, with his reign marked by the construction of the earliest monumental architecture, the Step Pyramid. He is the first king to move the royal necropolis to the north near Memphis, where kings will stay until the Middle Kingdom. Building across the river at Saqqara, Djoser's funerary enclosure builds off early kings' examples, but in this case, instead of the single mastaba construction, Djoser's architects stacked multiple to create the stepped appearance. The step pyramid also continues and expands upon the trend of subterranean chambers that would have composed of both the burial chamber and other storage rooms. Over 40,000 vessels dating to earlier reigns were found in these passages. The burial chamber is dressed in granite, referencing the chthonic underworld nature of the space. In addition to the step pyramid, this mortuary complex also housed a courtyard to memorialize the Heb-Sed festival, a coronation ritual that involved the king running a lap around the festival courtyard. The Heb-Sed was one of the most important rituals, along with the beautiful Feast of the Valley and the Opet festival. Here, we can also see dummy shrines and the north and south pavilions within the complex that would have been used during the Heb-Sed festival. Note the phrase dummy, meaning that the buildings were not meant to be used, but were there symbolically to function in perpetuity in the afterlife. And finally, on the north face of the step pyramid, we can see the Serdab, where the Ka statue of Djoser sits looking out to the northern sky, allowing access for his Ka to enter and leave the funerary complex. The Ka was an aspect of his personhood, similar to the Western concept of the soul. Offerings would have also been left at the Serdab, allowing Djoser to partake in the afterlife. Djoser's step pyramid complex begins the tradition of pyramid building in Egyptian history, culminating in the Great Pyramid on the Giza Plateau. Memphis retained its importance throughout Egyptian history. Since little evidence of the site is preserved to us today in comparison to Thebes, such reconstructions are helpful to scholars. Visual reconstructions in games like Assassin's Creed are not only useful for the preservation of ancient sites, but can also serve as a valuable teaching resource for both scholars and the public.